Hi everyone, good morning. I'm Samanta Alves. I be your host today. Thank you so much for being here with us. I just want to make sure everything is okay before I start. So let me just have a look at my phone here as well, just to see. It seems like it's working, but I just want to make sure you guys can see me and can hear me and everything is working fine. So if you guys can just give me a hands up or a thumbs up before I start. Thank you so much, Camila, for being here. Thank you, Kaka. I can see we have some more people here watching us today. Thank you again for being with us. So, yeah, thank you so much, Kaka, for letting me know that everything is working fine. So let's just start. But I before we continue, I just want to introduce myself a little bit better. So my name is Samanta Alves. I am one of the volunteers here in the Spiritual Society of Ireland, and I'm part of the Irish Spiritualist Federation. And also, I live in Dublin, in Ireland, but I am from Brazil. But at the moment, we are broadcasting here from Dublin, Ireland. Um, so I know that a lot of people will be watching this all across the globe, which is amazing. Um, but I just want to let you guys know where we are located. So before we continue, let's do our initial prayer. So if you can, please close your eyes if you can, or if you'd like to. Let's raise our thoughts to Jesus, to our spiritual friends, to our mentors, to God. Let's ask them for helping us this morning with this conversation. May we have a fruitful conversation. May we transmit the teachings that God wants us to transmit here this morning. I hope that we all open our minds and our hearts for everything that we are going to talk about. This is a very important topic in our lives. So help us understand, dear God, what you want us to understand. And help us share these learnings with our family and friends and somehow propagate not only our words, but also this energy, this feeling of compassion and acceptance to the whole world. So be it. Okay, so I have a presentation to help us today. So I'm sharing my screen. Let me know if you can see it. And today we are going to talk about creating hope through action. And this is an approach to suicide prevention. So, why are we talking about it, especially today? We talk about suicide from time to time because it is important. But especially September is what we call Yellow September. So, this is a month where we stop and think and research and share ideas about suicide prevention. But also, we bring this topic here in the Spiritual Center because it has unfortunate consequences for us as a spirit, and it has further implications for family and friends of people who commit suicide or even who has suicidal thoughts. Um, we also we also talk about it because it is actually a pretty serious business. And I'm going to show you guys some stats here, just so we can have a bigger picture of what happens in the world in terms of suicide. But the main reason why we bring this topic here is because studies shows that 93% of suicides can be prevented if the signs are identified. So we have a big role here. And that's why the topic today is creating hope through action. So we can do something about it. That we can, if we care enough and if we look to the right places or look in the right places, we'll find not only information, but we also find support for anything related to suicide and suicide prevention. So, without further ado, let's start our talk. And I want to start with this notion of suicide according to Spiritism. I've researched the Spiritism literature and I brought some things here for us to discuss. And the first things I would like to discuss with you guys this morning is a few questions and answers from the Spiritist book. So, in the Spirit's book, part 4, chapter 1, and this chapter has a section called Dissatisfaction of Life, Suicide. We find a lot of, well, many questions and answers. So Kardec made some questions and the spirits answered to those questions. And they are very, very enlightening, very interesting. So I brought some of them, but if you want to know more, go to the Spirits book, part 4, chapter 1, in especially this topic, and you'll find more information there as well. So, question 943. Where does the dissatisfaction with life come from, which takes hold of some individuals without any plausible reason? And the answer from the spirits is it is the effect of idleness, lack of faith, and usually satiety. For those who employ their faculties with a useful purpose and according to their natural attitudes or aptitudes, labor has nothing barren about it, and life follows by more quickly. They bear life's tribulations with patience and resignation because they look forward to the more solid and lasting happiness awaiting them. So, this question, it's not directly about suicide, but it shows us what could be the reason why we commit suicide. So if we are experiencing lack of faith, or if we think that we don't have a purpose in this life, or for a lot of people, if you have everything that you need and you don't know what else to look for, then you can think that it's over, and the only or the next thing to do would be to end your life. But for people, and this question shows clearly, for people that believe in life as a means of improving, or a means of putting your work into practice, there'll be never an end to it. So you'll be working and you'll be doing so much that you only want life, and life will go by so quickly, and that you only want to slow down and to have more time and to have the opportunity to apply those things more and more. So working is something really important here. And when I say work, I don't mean work like the work that you do for a living, or to get your salary at the end of the month, but the work that you do in life with your friends or with your family or in an institution, helping an institution, or putting in practice, or even experimenting your dreams and doing things that make sense to you and are important to you. So all of those things, we understand them as work because we are improving our spirits, and we are also doing something for humanity and for society as a whole. And the next question, 944, do people have the right to take their own life? And then here we can see a very straightforward answer from the spirits. No, only God has that right. Those who intentionally commit suicide commit a transgression against this law. So we need to live our lives until the very end. And we'll see in a minute why it's important, why it's so important. But just to this question simply clarify to us that we shouldn't be doing it at all. Only God has that right, because he knows everything. He knows, or he, she, it, this power that we call God knows everything. And it's the only um it's the only one that can determine when it's the end for us in this place, on earth, or in this incarnation. Now continue, question 945. What is to be thought of those who commit suicide because they are dissatisfied with life? And the answer is fully. Why did they not work? Life would not have seemed so heavy to them. So that this question again emphasizes what we were talking about before. So if you put your work in this life, and in every aspect of work that we can talk about, then life won't seem so heavy to you. And question 940 and 57 says, in general, what are the consequences of suicide on the state of the spirit? And the answer from the spirit is, the consequences of suicide vary widely. There are no set penalties, and in all cases, they are always relative to the causes that produce them. One consequence from which those who commit suicide cannot escape, however, is disappointment. Besides, the fate is not the same for all. It depends on circumstances. Some expiate their wrong at once, whereas others do so in a new life that will be worse than the one whose course they cut short. So here it brings about the consequences of committing suicide, and they are huge. There are many of them. It explains that it's not like if you commit suicide, this is going to happen. So it depends on the circumstances, and also depends on the person, or it depends on how quickly this person also wants to repair that wrongdoing. So there are a lot there are a lot to take into account here when we want to repair this action, but it will have a consequence, and that is for sure. And you'll be, as a spirit, disappointed if you do that, because then you understand that it did not solve your problem. And we are going to talk about it in a minute as well. So, from the Gospel According to Spiritism, chapter 5, there's a section called Suicide and Madness. And item 16 of this section says, disbelief, simple doubts about the future, materialistic ideas, in other words, are the greatest incitements to suicide. They cause moral cowardice. And when men and women of science rest on the book of their knowledge, rest on the authority of their knowledge in order to try to prove to their listening or reading audience that they have nothing to hope for after death, are they not in fact leading them to the conclusion that if they are unfortunate, then there is nothing better for them to do than to kill themselves? What could they possibly have to say that would turn them away from this conclusion? What compensation could they offer them? What hope could they give them? None at all, except nothingness. From this, one must conclude that if nothingness is the only heroic remedy, the sole prospect, then it would be more worthwhile to fall into it immediately rather than later on, and thereby suffer for less time. The propagation of materialistic ideas is therefore the poison that injects the idea of suicide into a large number of individuals, and those who become apostles of such ideas assume an awful responsibility. So, if we say that there's no end to suffering, or if there's no hope, or if we say that the life, our life here on earth doesn't make sense, and the only way to end this is to kill ourselves, then what we're saying is there's no reason for us to be here at all. And why bother even being birthed or being born? So those things are important, and we need to think about them in a more holistic way. And people that believe in those things, they have what we call materialistic ideas, which is they only believe in what they can see. They only believe in things, uh, like, for example, things that we can live here on earth, like having relationships or going to work or getting money and paying bills and, all those things. So if you think that this is all, maybe you can think, well, then it doesn't make any sense. But if you have more belief in the future, then things could be different. And that's what we are going to see in Heaven and Hell, Part 2, Chapter 5. So there's a whole section there about suicides. And in this book, there are a lot of examples, because this book is basically just the work of some mediums with spirits that were looking for help. And Kardec just relates all of those work, all of this sessions with or between mediums and spirits. So there is this case of Mr. JBD, and Mr. JBD was an educated man, but saturated to the core with materialistic ideas. He believed neither in God nor the existence of the soul. So for him, things didn't have a purpose. So everything that he was seeing did really make sense. And he was asked, what motive did you have for killing yourself? And his answer was, weariness of a life without hope. So this is an example of what we were talking about. Someone that didn't really believe in the future and thought that if what he was experiencing was all there is to it, then best thing he could do was to kill himself and end with all the sufferings or all the nonsense that he thought was his life. Then there is this explanation from Kardec and in conjunction with all the mediums that says one thinks about suicide when life is hopeless. One also wants to escape unhappiness at any price. With Spiritism, the future unfolds and hope is legitimized, leaving suicide without purpose. Moreover, one realizes that through suicide one does not escape an evil, but falls into another, one 100 times worse. That is why Spiritism already has saved so many victims from committing intentional death. Extremely guilty are those who, through scientific sophisms, the so-called name of reason, endeavor to believe in the desperate idea, the source of so many crimes and evils, that everything ends at death. They will be responsible not only for their own errors, but also for all the evils they have caused. So this this part of the book just shows us how Spiritism can help, because Spiritism brings this certainty about the future and explains that we are immortals and immortal beings, and if we end our lives, we are not ending it really because we are spirits. This is just the passage. We are here for a reason, but this is not all our lives, and we will not live forever. So if we are immortal, what is the point of ending this part or this chapter of our lives? Because things will continue. And if we don't deal with what we have to deal now, it doesn't mean that we won't have to deal with them in the future. Quite the opposite, we will. And it will just delay things or even sometimes make them worse. So Spiritism brings us this certainty, this firm belief. And with that in mind, m- most definitely you won't commit suicide because you understand the repercussions. So if we can summarize the Spiritism view, we can say that suicide is never a relief or a solution to problems. The first impression felt by someone in this condition is of regret, and in the Heaven and Hell book, you see a lot of examples of this. But there are other books in the Spiritism literature that shows us, and even in the Spiritist Center, if there is a mediumistic work there, a lot of times they see just situations, and they see that when a spirit commits suicide, the first thing that happens to them is regret. And also, a lot of people that try to commit suicide, if they are not successful, the first thing that they think, if you read some of articles or some stories about people that try to commit suicide, they will tell that when they saw that they were not successful, the first thing that they felt was relief. They felt, oh, thankfully I couldn't do it. So for a lot of people, of course not everyone, but a lot of people, that's what they think or what they feel. Also, if one shortens their life, they will in fact attain a result exactly opposite to what they were hoping for. And that is what we were discussing a minute ago. So if you do that, you have to deal with the consequences. So it won't help you. It will just delay or even make things worse. If one determines the organic collapse, the spirit continues to receive by radiation the sensations of the body, since there's still vital fluid and it's not a pleasant sensation. So you won't have, if we can say in a simplistic way, a tranquil, calm, or healthy passage from this world to the other. And the sensations that this act will have in your, or the sensations that you feel, um, will be very unpleasant, because this act is very brutal, not only to your body, and of course to your body because it exterminates your life, but to your spirit as well. It's very brutal. The aggression stays in the matrix of the body, that by the law of reincarnation will re-roast the spirit in another incarnation, and this cycle stays. So here, um, it's just saying about, we talked about it in other lessons. Um, so we have the body, we have the perispirit, and we have the spirit. And the perispirit is just the connection between the body and the spirit. It's just kind of a bridge between the two of them, so um, they can live together and they can function together. And when we die, the perisprit is not destroyed, and it goes with us. So as a spirit, so this aggression, it stays in the perispirit. And when we reincarnate, we bring this. So if we say, for example, someone committed suicide by some type of asphyxia or something like this, then this person could come in the next incarnation with some respiratory problems. So the consequences are not only moral, there are a lot of physical consequences as well that we will experience in next or future reincarnations. And again, this will bring us more um, trials, more difficulties to deal with in the future. And it can even start what we call a vicious cycle. So if you're dissatisfied with life and you commit suicide, you have these consequences, and then you have to deal with them, and you can be dissatisfied again in the next incarnation and perhaps prompt to do it again. So you need to be very careful with those things, because you don't want to be in this loop forever. You want to learn, you want to improve, and you want to be happy, which is our destination. So we want to end the dissatisfaction of life, but there are other ways, and we'll find our solutions, and we'll find happiness when we're ready. No one is born predetermined to kill themselves. There is no genetics to suicide. So we don't believe as a spiritist that because our parents or someone in our family committed suicide, that we have this gene, and that we are going, or we are kind of programmed in a way that we have more, or that we have this propensity. I don't know the word exactly, but this kind of impulse within us. So we don't believe that for a second. As a spiritist, it is an individual choice, and we have free will. So if we do that, it's just, we can only blame ourselves, if we can say like this. We do not believe in internal fines. The final judgment is the court of our own conscience. So it's not because we committed suicide that we are going to suffer because of it forever. No, we have other opportunities to repair, and God is very merciful, and He is not in a rush. He wants us to improve, and He gave us all the time we need. So we'll get there, but the process could be difficult. But we can repair this action as same way as we can repair all the actions that we have in our lives, or we do. And we all need to commit to the human mandate to care for one another and to be ready to act whenever possible to stop pain and suffering. So we need to help each other. We need to be present. We need to understand it's not because our life is good or perfect, or because we are kind of shielded from the suicidal thoughts, that other person would be the same. We need to empathize with them. We need to or even it's not because we are spiritist and we understand all of those things that we need to think that other people shouldn't think the way they think. Each one of us are or is in our own process. We need to respect individualities, and we need to respect that people are different, or even spirits are different in different stages of their improvement process. So if we do that, then we can help them as well, and we can be part of the solution, which is the most important thing, we believe. So just to give us an understanding of what is the situation, I brought some data from the World Health Organization, and this study was published on the 16th of June 2021, and it refers to data from all the years up until 2019. So let's see what we found in this. As I said before, it's a pretty serious business, and I think the easiest way of us to act is to understand what are the implications, and what is the current situation. So that's why I'm bringing this information here, so we can contextualize and see what's going on. So this study shows us that globally 703,000 people die by suicide every year. You can think we are almost 8 billion people on Earth, so this is not a big number. But if you think that those lives are just wasted, they could have not ended if we could avoid it. So they were avoidable and regrettable, if we can say, like this. So these are people that could be alive today. And suicide is among the leading causes of death worldwide, with more death due to suicide than to malaria, to HIV, to breast cancer, or even war. That was kind of shocking to me, or even war and homicide. So again, it's a pretty serious business. More than 1 in every 100 deaths, 1.3%, in 2019 were the result of suicide. Suicide was the fourth leading cause of death in young people aged 15 to 29 years for both sexes, or for all sexes, after road injury, tuberculosis, and interpersonal violence. So for this group of people, they are kind of constructing their personality, and they are experiencing so much. Things change for them too much, especially if you are a teenager. Your life changes completely at this point, and you have to deal with so much. that you didn't have to do before. So it's a very intense period of our lives. So this is a group of people that we need to care for, and be very attentive, especially as parents, but also as friends or teachers, or whatever connection you have with this group. More than half of global suicides, 58%, occurred before the age of 50 years. Again, very young people that are ending their lives, I dare to say, unnecessarily. Um, but of course, I respect their decision, it's their free will. But as a spiritist, we don't want this to happen, because we want them to become happier, and to be able to face the difficulties in life and to turn them around. So just to kind of show us globally how it's happening. So this is the rates per 100,000 population. So we can see here that some places people experience that more than other places. But I think what struck me the most here was that even rich countries have people committing suicide. So this is very interesting if you think that it's not only necessarily the material difficulties that we experience in life that makes us do it. There are other things involved, and we need to be very careful with those things, and pay attention to those things. But not everything is bad news, and I think that the most important thing that we can take from this study is that it is decreasing, thankfully, and we can see this decrease in a lot of places. Unfortunately, the Americas are not in such a good situation yet, but we can see that it's decreasing. So why is it decreasing? It's mainly due to the work of people, or organizations or institutions, such as the World Health Organization. They have very interesting practices that they put in place in many countries to help with suicide prevention. We also have other institutions, such as the Say Yes to Life Institution, or it's not an institution. Sorry, it's basically a group of people that started a campaign all around the world, and in their own way, they help um, by bringing knowledge to people through many events. So those events could be what we call walk and talk. So people go and to a park, for example, and talk to people there. Or there are some presentations that they do in institutions as well. So they could be they go and sing in the streets, and I was part of this in the past as well, this event. We didn't have anything this year, especially due to COVID and all of those things, but we did it in the past. We have some online campaigns going on as well. So if you guys want to know more, the website is Say Yes to Life, and you can find us on Facebook as well, Say Yes to Life. But there are other institutions. I'm going to talk about them at the end. So, continuing this positive note, as I said before, September is what we call Yellow September. It's a month dedicated to suicide prevention, and the World Suicide Prevention Day is on the 10th of September. And this year, the HSE, which is the Health I think it's Health Enterprise Services, if I am not mistaken, here in Ireland. So this is the body that takes care of all health related um, issues in Ireland, but also legislation that governs the running of hospitals and things like that. So this the HSC, they created this year a pack for partners to help with propagation of suicide prevention ideas, and also um, not only ideas but also actions that you can take, or how you can support in situations like this. So I found it really interesting, and I brought the presentation here for us. So just talking a little bit about the World Suicide Prevention Day. It is a global public health day offering significant potential to raise awareness and understanding about suicide prevention and mobilize support for action from the local community to the international stage. The World Suicide Prevention Day was first introduced by the International Association of Suicide Prevention. The theme for 2021 is creating hope through action, and that's why I chose this title for our talk today. We want to focus on the actions we can take. So it is a very interesting or very nice topic, I think. In Ireland, this is a theme that underpins our collective efforts to prevent suicide and is reflected in our national strategy to reduce suicide, Connecting for Life. So HSE has this Connecting for Life strategy. World Suicide Prevention Day is a time when we can demonstrate to others in our lives and communities that there is hope. Even though suicide is a very complex issue, we should always signal people who are vulnerable or experiencing suicidal thoughts that we care and want to support them. This helps to create a more compassionate society where those who need to feel more comfortable in coming forward to seek help. So, one of the things that we can do is reaching. So, reaching to someone you know might be struggling, or to someone who you know has struggled before. Find some space and time to sit and be present with them. Use some open questions and tell them you care. If they share things with you, listen, stay calm, patient, and kind. You don't need to have all the answers. It can be really valuable for a person just to know that they are heard and they are not alone at a difficult time. So in this material, there are a lot of links. I'm going to share the link where I found the pack in the chat box, and I'm actually going to do it now. So if you guys want to access those links that I'm showing here, you'll be able to through the link that I just shared in the chat box. Also, reach out. If you are feeling particularly low of hopeless, always remember that sharing things with someone else will help. Reaching out to talk with someone close, or even a support organization might feel frightening, but you don't need to know the right words. When you take the first step and start to share what's going on for you, everything will become clearer and feel more hopeful. Reconnect, especially during the pandemic. People may have lost meaningful connections in their lives, for example, to groups, hobbies, or activities that they always had a positive effect on their mental well being. You can help find new ways to reestablish meaningful connections for people wherever they have been lost or damaged. A good sense of belonging, sorry, a good sense of belonging is important for people's mental health. It can help boost self-esteem and decrease loneliness and isolation. So again, there is this link here where you can access more information about reconnecting. Learn more. If someone tells you they have been thinking about suicide, stay calm and don't be afraid. There are lots of hopeful things you can do in situations like this, and there are training programs that can help prepare you for them. For example, if you complete suicide prevention training from the HSE, such as the 9-minute Living Works Start online program, you will learn to recognize and identify people who might be at risk of suicide. Confidently ask them about suicide and connect them with resources that can help. And here, just want to stop to say something. Um, so I don't know if you guys have watched a movie called Inside Out. I think this movie is brilliant. For as a psychologist, I think it's just perfect, and it's very enjoyable as well. It's a cartoon, well, not a cartoon specifically, but it's it's a drawing or something like this. um so this movie, uh, it's basically about this girl, and this girl, she has all of those things in her head. So one of those things are sadness, and the other one is joy. And this is in the movie, those are characters in that kind of tells a story. So joy is the opposite of sadness, and they kind of all the time they have different views of things. And then there was this other character there. His name was Bing Bong, if I am not mistaken, and he was sad because he was feeling down about something, and Joy was trying to cheer for him, and or cheer him up, and she was like, "No, don't feel like that. Let's do this. Let's do that, and be like this, and look at how beautiful this is." And those things were not making any difference to him. But then sadness came, and Joy was kind of sadness. She like she won't help. She won't help. She will makes things. She will make things worse. Um, but something really interesting happened when Bing Bong was talking to sadness. Sadness was just listening to him, and she was relating to what he was talking about. And she was like, I understand. I understand. I felt that as well, um, before. And this understanding, this, um, she was basically just listening to him. As and as the all the information that we bring today tells, you don't need to have all the right words. You just need to be able to listen, and listen in a non-judgmental way. This is really important. So sadness actually helped him feel better this way. So if you guys are interested, watch the movie Inside Out. If you haven't, it's a brilliant movie. So hopefully you agree with me and you like it as well. Continue, show your support, connect with a support or community organization, volunteer, help spread their messages, and become involved in activities that help promote positive mental health and well-being or suicide prevention in your community. So, for example, an organization that promotes the insights and stories of people with a lived experience of suicide can help us develop a greater understanding of suicide. It can encourage people to reach in to support someone and individuals to reach out for help themselves. And remember that people can and do get through times of crisis, and that a positive message of recovery can be protective and hopeful for others in itself. And lastly, know where to turn. Get to know what mental health services and supports are available, and tell more people about them. Many are open 24/7 and are accessible in lots of different ways. For example, on the phone, so we have the Samaritans free phone there, which is 116123. You can also reach by text message here in Ireland. The text is 50808. You can text hello and to this number, and they will start talking to you. You can also find support online. There's this website, mymind.org. Or here in Ireland, you can have face-to-face support if you go to Pieta House. And the website is pieta.ie if you want to find some information there as well. You can also call the HSE your mental health information line anytime, day or night, for information on what other services and supports are available near you. So the free phone is 1-800-111-888 or visit yourmentalhealth.ie. So those are, again, because this was compiled by the HSE, they are more island related, but I'm sure you're going to find a lot of support locally as well in your community. So know where to turn, look for those places, and you'll find support there for sure. So that was all from me today, guys. Thank you so much again for being here. Thank you, Dawn, and good morning to you too. I hope you have a nice weather in Chicago. Today it's not so nice here, but it's not so cold, so it's all good. Anyway, thank you so much again for everyone that was here. If I didn't say your name, I'm just gonna show you guys the bibliography as well if you want to read more or learn more about suicide prevention or suicide according to Spiritism. So you have the Spirits book. As I mentioned, these are the sessions that we use today. You have the Gospel according to Spiritism, the Heaven and Hell. Also, this webpage that I just shared with you guys from the HSC, and also you can access the World Health Organization website for more information as well. And just to end up with our activities, we have our public meetings in the form of lives for now every Sunday from 11:15 a.m. to around 12:15 p.m. We have our talk shows in the form of lives also for now every Tuesday and Thursdays at 7:15 p.m. We have our study groups every Wednesday from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. So the public meetings and the talk shows, you can access them through our through our Facebook page or through our YouTube page. But for the study group, you need to send us an email or a message on Facebook, and we are going to send you the link to access our Zoom group. So this is our Facebook page, Spiritism Society of Ireland, and you can also email us, spiritisomireland@gmail.com. So that was all for me, guys. I don't see any questions, so I just want to, again, thank you very much. Thanks, Ju. Thanks, Pachi, for being here with us today. I'm going to end with our final prayer then. If you want to close your eyes, raise your thoughts to Jesus, to our spiritual friends, to our mentors, to God. Let's thank them for our lives, for everything that comes with it, all the challenges, and all the good stuff as well. Let's thank them for the opportunity that we have here. Let's thank them for the lives of our family, of our friends, of everything that, or everyone that are connected to us in this world and in other worlds. thank you so much, dear God, for creating us. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to practice good and love, and to experience all of those things here on earth. There's so much to learn and experience here. So much good stuff as well. So we are capable of loving and sharing our love to everyone. We have all these beautiful connections. We have people that care about us. Even when sometimes we can't see it, they are there. So we want to thank for all of that. And we want to thank for all that happens in this world. They don't seem ideal. There are a lot of challenges in this world, but we believe in you. And we know that we are in our path to become something much better. And we have your support. So thank you so much. So be it. Again, thank you so much, guys. Have a lovely Sunday. Thank you again, and we'll see you next time. Bye.